Marcus arrived before sunrise, the way he always did, checking every harness twice, proving what shouldn't need proof. When Linda Kessler walked in and called him boy, with a smile sharp enough to cut, the room went silent in that familiar way. She posted the evaluation list, and his name sat beside the hardest assignments, again. They all saw it, the impossible standards, the public corrections for things she ignored in others, the slow suffocation disguised as discipline. But no one said a word, because prejudice rewards silence and punishes truth. And then came the helicopter, the open door, the altered sequence she didn't log, the test designed not to measure skill, but to break spirit. What Linda didn't know was that Marcus had been documenting everything, and some truths refused to stay quiet. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because this story proves that dignity isn't given. It's protected. Marcus arrived before sunrise to check harnesses and radios. He moved through the hangar with quiet precision, testing each clip twice. The way he always did. The overhead lights hummed. His boots echoed on concrete. No one else was awake yet, and that was how he preferred it. Linda Kessler entered at 6 sharp, coffee in hand. She smiled when she saw him. "Morning, boy," she said. "Early again, I see." Marcus felt the word land. Boy. He was 28 years old. He nodded once. "Morning, ma'am." Tyler Kessler followed his aunt inside, still half asleep. He laughed when Linda gestured toward Marcus. "He's always here first," Tyler said. "Makes the rest of us look bad." A few trainees shuffled in behind them. They glanced at Marcus, then at their boots. No one spoke. Marcus swallowed the heat rising in his throat. He focused on the equipment. He reminded himself he was here to serve, not to be liked. Linda walked to the bulletin board and pinned up a new sheet. "Evaluation assignments for the week," she called. "Check your names." The group crowded forward. Marcus waited until they cleared, then stepped closer. His name was beside the hardest assignments. Again. "Read," Linda said from behind him. "You see yours?" "Yes, ma'am," Marcus said. "Good." Her voice was light. "Standards are standards, I'm sure you understand." Marcus understood plenty. He turned away and started coiling rope. His hands moved steadily. His chest felt tight. Tyler leaned against a workbench nearby. "You got tower rappel and confined space," he said. "That's rough." "I'll manage," Marcus said. "Sure you will." Tyler's tone sounded friendly. It didn't feel friendly. Claire Donovan entered carrying medical kits. She was older, steady, professional. She glanced at Marcus, then at Linda, then back to her supplies. Linda smiled wider. "We're going to see who's really got what it takes this week," she said. "No excuses, no shortcuts." Marcus felt her eyes on him. He didn't look up. The silence stretched. Someone coughed. The radio crackled static. "All right, people," Linda said. "Briefing in 10. Don't be late." Marcus stayed where he was. He finished the rope, hung it properly, and checked his notes. He wrote down the time, the assignment, the way Linda said "boy" with that smile. He didn't know yet what he'd do with the notes, but he knew he'd need them. The briefing room smelled of stale coffee and sweat. Linda stood at the front with a clipboard. "Discipline," she said. "Standards. That's what keeps people alive out there." The trainees nodded. Marcus sat in the back row, hands folded. "Tyler," Linda said, "walk me through your harness check from yesterday." Tyler stood. "Inspected all connection points," he said. "Checked the carabiner gate. Confirmed the belay loop." "Good," Linda said. She made a note. "That's the standard." Marcus had watched Tyler skip the backup check. He said nothing. "Read," Linda called. "Same question." Marcus stood. Inspected connection points, he said. Checked carabiner gate and belay loop. Verified backup with secondary observer. Linda tilted her head. And who was your observer? Jonah Miller, ma'am. Jonah didn't mention that in his log. It's in mine, Marcus said. Linda's smile tightened. Are you saying Jonah made a mistake? No, ma'am. Just that I logged it. Don't get defensive, Reed. Her voice stayed calm. Attitude matters just as much as technique. Marcus felt his jaw clench. He sat down. Claire watched from the side of the room. Her chest felt tight. She looked away. The drill began an hour later. Marcus performed flawlessly. He called his movements clearly. He secured the line with precision. The team succeeded because of his work. Afterward, Linda gathered everyone. Good effort, she said. But I noticed some aggressive communication during the sequence. She looked at Marcus. Reed, when you're under pressure, you need to stay calm. Shouting orders isn't leadership. Marcus hadn't shouted. He'd spoken firmly, the way the manual required. Tyler nodded along. A few others glanced at Marcus, uncertain. Yes, ma'am, Marcus said quietly. I know you want to prove yourself, Linda said, but standards are standards. Work on your tone. Marcus walked back to the equipment shed. His hands shook. He heard two trainees behind him whispering. He's always in trouble, one said. Yeah, wonder why he even stays. Marcus stopped at the door. He breathed slowly. Then he pulled out his notebook and wrote down what Linda said. Word for word. A story was being written about him. He needed to write his own. Marcus found Claire at the supply cage 2 days later. She was signing out medical gear. Her movements were efficient, practiced. Morning, Marcus said. Claire looked up. Morning? She smiled. It stopped at her mouth. Marcus hesitated. Then he stepped closer. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever notice instructions changing, depending on who's being evaluated? Claire's pen paused. Her throat felt tight. What do you mean? Just inconsistencies, Marcus said carefully. Small things. Claire felt fear rise in her chest. She knew what he meant. She'd seen it. But seeing and saying were different things. Listen, she said. Her voice was gentle. My advice? Keep your head down. Do the work. Don't give anyone a reason. A reason for what? To make it harder than it needs to be. Marcus nodded slowly. He felt the loneliness settle. Right, he said. Thanks. Claire watched him walk away. She felt ashamed. She also felt relieved. She told herself it wasn't her lane. She told herself she couldn't fix everything. She told herself a lot of things. Marcus returned to his bunk. The room was empty. Afternoon light slanted through the window. He sat on the edge of the bed and opened his notebook. He wrote down Claire's words. Not to blame her, just to remember. He wrote down the date, the time, the way her eyes shifted when he asked the question. He didn't know if the notes would matter, but they made him feel less invisible. Outside, a helicopter lifted off. The sound shook the walls. Marcus closed the notebook and lay back. He stared at the ceiling. He thought about his mother's voice. Be twice as good, she'd said. Twice as careful. He was trying. It still wasn't enough. Linda announced the inspection during breakfast. Surprise equipment audit, she said. Everyone to the yard, now. The trainees scrambled. Marcus finished his coffee and walked out calmly. In the yard, Linda moved down the line. She checked harnesses, helmets, ropes. She nodded at most, frowned at a few. She stopped at Marcus's station. Who rigged this? I did, ma'am, Marcus said. Linda pointed to a strap. This placement is wrong. Marcus looked. The strap was exactly where the manual showed. Ma'am, that's standard positioning. Are you arguing with me? No, ma'am. I'm referencing the checklist. Linda's eyes narrowed. Don't get smart with me, Reed. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. He pulled the checklist from his pocket. It's signed here. I followed protocol. Linda took the sheet. She read it. Her jaw clenched. Protocol is a guideline, not a script, she said. You need to think, not just follow. She handed it back. Fix it, she said, though nothing was broken. Tyler appeared at Marcus's elbow after Linda moved on. Hey, he said. I can help if you want. His tone sounded kind. His eyes looked superior. I'm good, Marcus said. Tyler shrugged. Suit yourself. Just trying to be a team player. Marcus adjusted the strap that didn't need adjusting. He felt the label forming. Not a team player. Difficult. Resistant. That afternoon, Linda called another briefing. Tomorrow we start advanced evaluations, she said. This is where we separate those who can handle real situations from those who can't. She looked directly at Marcus. Some of you will face a special evaluation, she said. We'll see who's really ready. Marcus felt his breath catch. He already knew. His name was in her mouth. The room dismissed. Marcus stayed behind, staring at the empty chairs. He thought about walking out, just leaving. But he'd worked too hard to quit, and quitting would prove every lie they wanted to believe. He left the room and walked into the cold air. Tomorrow would come whether he was ready or not. The morning briefing felt heavier than usual. Linda stood at the front, arms crossed. Today we talk about emotional control, she said. She paced slowly. Out there, panic kills, hesitation kills, ego kills. The trainees listened. Marcus sat still, hands on his knees. Reed, Linda said suddenly. Marcus looked up. Ma'am, do you think you can follow orders without getting emotional? The question hung in the air. A few trainees shifted. Someone coughed. Yes, ma'am, Marcus said evenly, because I've noticed you get defensive when corrected. I don't believe I do, ma'am, Linda smiled. See, right there. That's defensiveness. Laughter rippled through the room. Quiet, nervous laughter. But laughter. Marcus felt his hands tighten. He forced them to relax. I apologize if it seems that way, he said. Apology noted. Linda turned to the group. Emotional maturity is part of the standard. Remember that. Marcus stayed silent. His chest felt tight. His throat burned. Claire watched from the doorway. She felt sick. She wanted to speak. She didn't. The briefing ended. Trainees filed out, avoiding Marcus's eyes. He sat alone for a moment, then stood. Outside, his hands shook. He went to the bathroom and ran cold water over them. His reflection looked tired. Nadine Brooks entered the building late, carrying a folder. She caught the tail end of tension, but not the cause. She saw Marcus alone at the sink. You all right? She asked. Yes, ma'am, Marcus said. Nadine studied him. She'd seen that look before, people holding too much. If you need anything, she said, my door's open. Thank you. She left. Marcus dried his hands and returned to the hall. A notice was posted on the board. His name was listed. Helicopter exit sequence evaluation. Tomorrow morning. He stared at it. His breath caught. He felt the weight of what was coming. Behind him, Linda's voice drifted from her office. He'll learn, she said into the phone. One way or another. Marcus walked away. He knew she wasn't talking about skills. Marcus went to the admin office and asked for evaluation criteria. The clerk handed him a stapled packet. Marcus read it at a bench outside. Sections were missing. Small omissions. Enough to leave room for interpretation. Enough to leave room for abuse. He walked to Nadine's office. She was reviewing safety logs. Ma'am, can I ask a procedural question? Nadine looked up. Go ahead. The helicopter evaluation criteria. Are there supplemental guidelines? Her expression tightened. Why do you ask? The posted version seems incomplete. Nadine set down her pen. Reed, you're not the first person to notice that. What happened to the others? She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, keep everything in writing. Document times, names, exact wording. If something feels wrong, make a record. Marcus felt his chest tighten. She understood. She'd seen this before. Has anyone ever followed through? He asked. One person tried. They were told to stop digging. What did they do? They left. Nadine's voice was tired. And nothing changed. Marcus nodded. Thank you for the advice. Reed. She waited until he looked at her. Be careful. Marcus left. He went to his bunk and opened a fresh page in his notebook. He wrote everything. Times. Names. Phrases Linda used. Rules enforced and rules ignored. He didn't know if it would matter. But he knew silence had never saved anyone. That evening, he heard Linda on the phone again. Her door was half open. Her voice carried. The helicopter eval tomorrow, she said. Reed's first. I want to see how he handles real pressure. She laughed. No, it's all by the book, technically. Marcus walked past quietly. He felt his stomach turn. Tomorrow wasn't about evaluation. It was about something else entirely. He returned to his room and added another note. He stared at the words until they blurred. Then he closed the book and tried to sleep. The helicopter yard smelled of fuel and cold metal. Morning sun cut low across the tarmac. Trainees lined up in silence. The rotors started. The sound was massive, pounding. Marcus felt it in his ribs. Linda stood at the front, clipboard in hand. Pre-flight briefing, she shouted over the noise. Safety is our top priority, always. Her eyes locked on Marcus. We follow procedure exactly. No improvisation, no hesitation. The crew chief nodded. Claire checked medical packs, her hands moving too fast. She tried to steady her breathing. Linda ran through the sequence. Exit order is posted, she said. Then she paused. She pulled out a pen. Actually one change? She crossed out a name and wrote another. Marcus watched. The original order was gone. The new order wasn't logged. Claire saw it too. Her stomach dropped. Marcus noticed the way Linda's hand moved. Casual, confident. She expected no one to challenge her. The helicopter door slid open. Wind roared. The world tilted into noise and metal. Linda turned. Reed, she called, you're first. Marcus stepped forward. His pulse steadied. Fear turned into focus. He saw the way Linda positioned herself. Too close. Her gloved hand hovered near his harness, as if ready to rush him. He saw Tyler watching, uncertain. He saw Claire frozen, pale. He saw everything. The door waited. The ground was far below. Marcus felt calm settle over him. Not peace. Clarity. He looked at Linda. She smiled. Any questions? She asked. No, ma'am. Then let's see what you got. Marcus moved to the edge. The wind hit his face. His hands gripped the line. He thought, I will not just survive, I will make the truth visible. He jumped. Marcus executed the exit with controlled precision. His body moved through the sequence exactly as trained. Harness check, line tension, descent rate, signal. The ground rushed up. He landed, absorbed the impact, and immediately raised his hand. Clear, safe, perfect. On the platform above, Linda's shout cut through the rotor noise. Secure, good, but her voice wavered, just slightly. Marcus heard it. The faint note of panic disguised as command. She had expected something else. He unclipped and stepped back. His legs felt steady. His breathing was controlled. Claire descended on the medical line. She checked him quickly, professionally. "You okay?" she asked, barely audible. "Yes." Her eyes searched his face. She saw something there. Resolve. Not anger. Something harder. Tyler came down next, clumsy and loud. He clapped Marcus on the shoulder. "Nice work, man," he said. "Too cheerful." Marcus nodded once and walked toward the debriefing tent. Linda was already inside, writing. She didn't look up when Marcus entered. "Sit," she said. Marcus sat. "Performance notes," Linda said. She kept writing. "Hesitation at the door. Questionable harness adjustment. Attitude during pre-flight." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "I didn't hesitate. I observed hesitation. With respect, ma'am, I executed on count." Linda set down her pen. "Reed, are you telling me my observation is wrong?" Marcus held her gaze. "I'm saying I followed procedure exactly. Your tone right now is exactly what I'm talking about." She smiled. "Defensive. Resistant." Marcus breathed slowly. He memorized her words. He memorized the time. He memorized the way she smiled while lying. "Yes, ma'am," he said quietly. "You're dismissed." Marcus stood. He walked out into the cold air. He looked up at the helicopter, still idling on the pad. He felt something harden inside him. Not rage. Purpose. He had survived. Now he would do more than survive. He would make them see what they had chosen not to see. The truth. Documented. Undeniable. He turned toward the barracks. He had work to do. Marcus removed his gear in the equipment shed. His hands moved steadily. He felt tired, but clear. Linda appeared at the doorway. "Reed, a moment." Marcus turned. "Ma'am." She held a folder. "I filed a performance concern report. Standard procedure after a problematic evaluation." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "I completed the sequence safely." "You hesitated. You showed attitude during briefing. These things matter." She handed him the paper. "Sign to acknowledge receipt." Marcus read it twice. The words didn't match reality. Hesitation at exit point. Resistant to instruction. Unprofessional demeanor. "I'd like a copy," Marcus said quietly. Linda's eyes sharpened. "Why?" "For my records." "Your records." She smiled. "Of course, I'll have one made." She left. Marcus stared at the report. His hands trembled now, finally allowed to shake. Claire found him 20 minutes later. She stood in the doorway, hesitant. "Are you okay?" she asked. The question was small. The fear behind it was large. "I'm fine," Marcus said. "That evaluation—" Claire stopped. She didn't know how to finish. "Was by the book," Marcus said. "According to Linda." Claire's throat felt tight. "Right." Marcus looked at her. "Did you see her change the exit order?" Claire felt her pulse spike. The question was simple. The answer would cost her. "I saw something," she said carefully. "I'm not sure what it meant." Marcus nodded. He didn't push. "Thanks for checking on me." Claire left quickly. She felt like a coward. She hated it. Marcus added the performance report to his growing file. He wrote down the time Linda filed it, before he'd even removed his gear, before anyone asked what happened. The fight would be paperwork before it was public. He pulled out his notebook. He wrote everything he could remember. Linda's exact words. The changed order. The way her hand hovered near his harness. He wrote until his hand cramped. Then he closed the book and sat in the dark shed. Outside, voices called to each other. Normal training sounds. Life continuing. Marcus felt alone in a way that physical isolation couldn't match. But he also felt something else. a thread of determination, thin but unbreaking. He stood. He hung his gear properly. He walked back to the barracks. Tomorrow he would add another page. And another. Until the pages became proof. Claire restocked medical supplies in the equipment room. Her hands moved automatically. Her mind replayed the helicopter evaluation. Linda had changed the order. Claire was certain now. She tried to justify it. Maybe Linda had a reason. Maybe it was a last-minute safety adjustment. But Linda hadn't logged it. That was the problem. Claire heard footsteps. Marcus appeared in the doorway. "Can I ask you something?" he said. Claire felt her stomach drop. "Okay." "Did she change the order?" The question hung between them. Direct, unavoidable. Claire's throat tightened. "Why are you asking me?" "Because you were there. Because you saw." Claire set down the gauze she was holding. "Marcus, I don't want trouble." "Neither do I. But she filed a report that isn't true." "Maybe she saw something you didn't. Or maybe she's lying." Marcus pulled out his notebook. "These are my notes, times, exact sequences, what I observed." He held it out. "I'm asking what you saw, not what you think, just what you saw." Claire looked at the notebook. She felt the weight of the decision. Speaking would cost her. Silence would cost him. "I saw her mark the original order," Claire said slowly. "Then cross it out and write your name first. She didn't log the change." Marcus felt his breath catch. "Will you write that down?" "Marcus, for safety, not for me, for anyone else she might do this to." Claire's hands shook. She thought about her pension, her reputation, the colleagues who would call her a traitor. She thought about what silence protects, and what it destroys. "I'll write what I observed," she said finally. "For safety documentation." "Thank you." Claire took a deep breath. "Give me until tomorrow. I need to think about how to word it." Marcus nodded. "I understand." He left. Claire stood alone, trembling. She felt like she'd stepped off a cliff without knowing where the ground was. But she also felt something else. Relief. Small and fragile, but real. She pulled out a blank incident form. She stared at it for a long time. Then she started writing. Linda increased inspections the following week. Marcus faced 3 in 2 days. Each one found minor issues. A loose strap, a misplaced tool, things others did without comment. Tyler performed a sloppy rappel. Linda called it learning in progress. Marcus performed a clean one. Linda called it overconfident. The trainees noticed. They kept their distance at meals. Silence gathered around Marcus's table. Jonah, an older trainee, sat across from him one day. "You doing okay?" Jonah asked. "Yeah," Marcus said. "Linda's riding you hard." "I noticed." Jonah ate quietly. Then he said, "For what it's worth, you're doing good work." Marcus felt grateful. The words mattered. "Thanks." But Jonah didn't sit with him again. Pressure spreads. Claire avoided eye contact during briefings. Marcus understood. She was working on her statement. She was afraid. Tyler approached Marcus after a drill. "Hey man, any chance you could tone it down?" Marcus looked at him. "Tone what down?" "You know, the intensity. You're making everyone tense." "I'm just doing my job." "Yeah, but maybe ease up a little, for the team." Marcus felt anger rise. He swallowed it. "I'll keep that in mind." Tyler walked away, satisfied. Marcus wanted to scream. That afternoon, a notice appeared in his mailbox. "Disciplinary review scheduled. Report to administration tomorrow, 0800. Marcus read it 3 times. His pulse hammered. Claire saw him holding the paper. She looked away quickly, guilt written on her face. Marcus walked to his bunk. He sat on the edge of the bed. The walls felt closer than before. He thought about his father's funeral, the way people whispered, the way they looked away. He thought about every time someone told him to be patient, to work harder, to prove himself. He was tired. So tired. But quitting would mean Linda won, and he couldn't live with that. He pulled out his notebook. He added the disciplinary notice. He noted the timing. Right after the evaluation. Right after he asked for a copy of the report, a pattern, clear as daylight. He closed the book. He lay back. He stared at the ceiling until sleep finally came. Tomorrow would be harder. He knew that. But he'd survived worse than tomorrow. He'd survive this, too. Marcus arrived at Nadine's office at 7:30. She was already there, surrounded by files. "Come in," she said. Marcus sat. "I need to request helicopter evaluation logs, and any documentation of sequence changes." Nadine leaned back. "Why?" "Because the records don't match what happened." She was quiet for a moment. "Reed, I'm going to be honest. Missing documentation isn't new here." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've tried to track procedure changes before. I was told to stop digging." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "By who?" "By people who decide what matters and what doesn't." "And you stopped?" Nadine's jaw clenched. "I kept my job. I told myself that was smart." "Was it?" She didn't answer. She pulled a file from her drawer. "Safety without truth is theater," she said quietly. "Someone told me that once. I didn't listen." She opened the file. "I can check the archives, but if you push this, they'll push back harder." "They're already pushing. It'll get worse." "I know." Marcus met her eyes. "But if I don't push, it'll happen to someone else." Nadine felt something shift in her chest. Shame, maybe, or recognition. "All right," she said. "I'll look. No promises." "Thank you." "Reed." She waited until he looked at her. "The disciplinary review tomorrow. Do you have representation?" "No." "You should ask for someone to sit with you. Union rep, advocate. Don't go alone." Marcus nodded. He stood to leave. "Reed," Nadine said again, "I should have stopped digging sooner, or kept digging harder. I'm not sure which, but I did neither, and that was wrong." Marcus felt unexpected kinship. "You're digging now," he said. He left. Nadine sat alone, staring at the file. She thought about the trainee who left, the one who tried to speak up, the one she'd failed. She opened her computer. She started searching archived records, logs, incident reports, anything that might show a pattern. It was past midnight when she finally found something. Small. Incomplete. But there. She printed it carefully. She placed it in a folder. Tomorrow she'd decide what to do with it. For tonight, she just held it. Evidence. Fragile and insufficient. But real. Elena Park arrived at the training facility perimeter at 9 in the morning. She carried a notepad and a reputation for fairness. "I'm here about a training incident," she told the gate attendant. "Is there a public information officer available?" The attendant made a call. 10 minutes later, Linda appeared. She smiled warmly. "Ms. Park, how can I help?" "I heard there was a dangerous evaluation last week. Helicopter exit sequence." Linda's smile held. "All our evaluations meet strict safety standards. Who told you otherwise?" "I'm not at liberty to say." "Of course." Linda gestured toward the administration building. "Would you like a tour? I'm happy to show you our protocols." Claire watched from the medical station. Her stomach turned. Someone had spoken. She wondered if it was Marcus. Elena asked careful questions. Linda answered with practiced ease. "Excellence, safety, standards. We take these seriously." Marcus saw Elena through a window. He recognized her from the local paper. He felt hope flicker. Linda noticed his glance. She excused herself from Elena and walked to where Marcus stood. "Reed," she said softly. "Did you speak to a reporter?" "No, ma'am." "Because talking to media without authorization is a violation. I'd hate to add that to your review." "I haven't spoken to anyone." Linda smiled. "Good. Let's keep it that way. You're making enemies, Reed. Be careful." She walked back to Elena, who was examining safety posters. "As you can see," Linda said, "we're a model program." Elena wrote something down. "I'll need to verify some details before publication. Do you have incident logs I can review?" "Those require proper authorization. Privacy concerns." "Of course. I'll submit a formal request." Elena left. Linda watched her go, still smiling, but her eyes were cold. Marcus returned to his bunk. An hour later, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Mr. Reed, this is Elena Park. I'd like to ask you a few questions. Off the record, if you prefer." Marcus felt his pulse spike. "How did you get my number?" "A concerned party. I won't name them. Are you willing to talk?" Marcus thought about Linda's warning. He thought about the disciplinary review tomorrow. He thought about truth. And what happens when no one speaks it? "Yes," he said. "I'll talk." Marcus met Elena at a coffee shop 3 blocks from base. She ordered tea. He ordered nothing. "Tell me what happened," Elena said. "In your own words." Marcus told her. Facts only. No emotion. Times, sequences, exact phrases. Elena took notes. "You have documentation?" "Yes." "And witnesses?" "Possibly. I can't speak for them." Elena nodded. "I won't print without corroboration. But if what you're saying is true, this matters." "It is true. I believe you. But belief isn't proof." Marcus left the coffee shop feeling lighter and more exposed. The next day, Jonah found Marcus in the equipment shed. "Can I talk to you?" Jonah asked. "Yeah." Jonah looked uncomfortable. "That helicopter eval. I was on logistics crew. I saw Linda change the order." Marcus felt his breath catch. "You saw it?" "Yeah. She crossed out the original and put you first. Didn't log it." "Would you be willing to say that officially?" Jonah hesitated. "Man, I've got 6 months left until certification. I can't afford trouble." "I understand. But if someone asks me directly, I won't lie." Jonah met his eyes. "That's the best I can do." "That's enough," Marcus said. "Thank you." Jonah left quickly. Marcus added the information to his notes. Across the yard, Tyler watched. He felt something twist in his chest. Guilt, maybe. Or fear. He knew the truth. He'd heard Linda tell him to stay quiet. She'd promised him a permanent position if he stayed loyal. Tyler wanted that position. He'd worked hard. But he also knew Marcus hadn't done anything wrong. The choice sat heavy on him. Claire sat in her apartment that night, staring at her laptop. She'd drafted her witness statement 3 times. The first version was too cautious. The second was too accusatory. The third was just factual. She read it again. "On the morning of the helicopter evaluation, I observed lead instructor Linda Kessler mark an exit sequence order, then cross it out and reassign trainee Marcus Reed to the first position without logging the change in official records." Simple. True. Devastating. Claire's finger hovered over the save button. She thought about everything she'd lose. Then she thought about Marcus, alone at that table. She thought about every time she'd looked away. She saved the file. She printed it. She signed it. Her hand shook as she wrote her name. But the signature was clear. Marcus returned to his bunk to find a message slipped under his door. "We see you. Keep going." A friend. He didn't know who sent it. He held it for a long time. Hope hurt more than despair. Hope required belief. But he let himself feel it anyway. He added the note to his file. Small allies, fragile support, but real. Tomorrow the disciplinary review would happen. He'd face it with whatever he had. It would have to be enough. The regional multi-agency drill happened on a Wednesday. 6 different rescue units gathered for a simulated disaster scenario. Collapsed structure, multiple casualties, coordination under pressure. Marcus was assigned to rope rescue team. He said nothing about the timing. One day before his disciplinary review. The simulation began at dawn. Smoke machines filled the training structure. Actors played victims. Radios crackled with overlapping commands. Halfway through, a trainee from another county panicked near a simulated ledge. The scenario was safe, but fear made it real. The trainee froze. "I can't," he said. "I can't move." His supervisor called for assistance. Marcus was closest. "I'm coming to you," Marcus said calmly. "Stay exactly where you are." He moved with controlled precision. He anchored a secondary line. He checked every connection point twice. "Look at me," Marcus told the trainee. "Not down. At me." The trainee's eyes locked on his. Marcus talked him through each step. Breath, grip, movement. "You're safe. I've got you. We're moving together." 10 minutes later, they reached solid ground. The trainee collapsed, shaking. Marcus stayed beside him, hand on his shoulder. "You did good," Marcus said. "That took courage." The supervisors watched. One of them asked, "Where'd you learn that technique?" "From doing the work," Marcus said. Claire witnessed it from the medical station. She saw the way Marcus led without ego, the way he made space for someone else's fear without judgment. Competence became undeniable. The room shifted. Respect formed despite everything. Linda arrived as the drill concluded. "Excellent work, everyone," she called. "This is what proper training produces." She smiled at the crowd, but her eyes found Marcus, and in them he saw new fear. He wasn't breakable, and that terrified her. A supervisor from the neighboring county approached Marcus. "You handled that well. Ever think about applying elsewhere?" "I'm focused on finishing here," Marcus said. "Well, if that changes, look me up." Marcus nodded. He felt something shift inside him. His worth wasn't determined by Linda's judgment. He'd known that intellectually. Now he felt it. Tyler watched from across the yard. He saw the supervisor shake Marcus's hand. He saw the respect in people's eyes. Tyler felt shame burn in his chest. He walked away quickly. Linda returned to her office and closed the door. She made a phone call. "We need to move faster on Reed," she said. "He's becoming a problem." Outside, Marcus removed his gear slowly. His chest felt tight. But for the first time in weeks, the tightness came from hope, not fear. Tomorrow would be hard. But today, he'd remembered who he was. That would have to carry him through. Marcus walked into the disciplinary review feeling cautiously steady. Nadine sat beside him as his advocate. Claire's witness statement was in his folder. The review panel consisted of 3 administrators. They listened as Linda presented her concerns. Pattern of resistance, attitude issues, safety violations during evaluation. Marcus responded calmly. He presented his documentation, timeline, exact quotes, discrepancies between Linda's report and actual events. The panel asked questions. Marcus answered without emotion. "Ms. Brooks," the chair said, "you've reviewed safety protocols. What's your assessment?" Nadine hesitated. Then she spoke. "There are documentation irregularities that warrant further investigation." Linda's jaw tightened. The panel conferred quietly. We'll need additional time to review these materials, the chair said. Mr. Reed, you're free to continue training pending our decision. Marcus felt relief flood through him. Not victory, just breathing room. Thank you, he said. Outside, Nadine touched his arm. That went better than expected. Yeah. Marcus almost smiled. Claire found him afterward. I submitted my statement, she said, in case they need it. Thank you. I should have done it sooner. You did it. That's what matters. Marcus returned to the barracks feeling lighter. Maybe the system could work. Maybe truth could win through patience and documentation. He was wrong. The email arrived at 6 p.m. Marcus Reed, temporary suspension effective immediately, pending review of additional safety concerns raised during helicopter evaluation sequence. Report to administration to return equipment and credentials. Marcus read it 3 times. His hands went cold. The accusation was new. Endangering protocol by improper harness adjustment prior to exit. It was fabricated, completely false. But it didn't matter. Linda had struck back. Marcus walked to the equipment shed. Other trainees watched him pack his locker. No one spoke. Tyler stood in the doorway. He looked sick, but he said nothing. Claire saw Marcus leaving with a box of his belongings. She wanted to stop him. She couldn't move. Marcus walked to his truck. He loaded the box. He sat in the driver's seat. For the first time, he felt the old doubt crawl back in. What if being right wasn't enough? What if integrity was just another word for losing? He started the engine. He drove home to his small apartment. Inside, the silence was suffocating. He set the box down. He sat on the couch. His phone buzzed. Elena Park. I heard about the suspension, I'm sorry. Marcus didn't respond. He stared at the wall. Outside, traffic hummed. Life continued, indifferent to his struggle. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about walking away, just disappearing, starting over somewhere no one knew his name. It would be easier. So much easier. But then he thought about whoever came after him. The next Marcus. The next target. He opened his eyes. He pulled out his notebook. He wasn't done. Not yet. Marcus sat in his apartment as afternoon light faded to gray. The walls felt too close. The silence pressed against his ears. His phone showed one message. Claire. I'm trying. Nothing else. No follow-up. No plan. Marcus understood. Fear was louder than intention. But understanding didn't make the loneliness lighter. Elena called at 7. The department is controlling the narrative, she said. They're saying you were reckless during evaluation. Without documents, you'll be painted as unstable. I have documents. Do you have the helicopter logs? The original exit sequence order? Marcus felt his chest tighten. No. Then it's your word against Linda's, and she has institutional power. Marcus closed his eyes. So what do I do? Find proof, or find more witnesses willing to speak on record. And if I can't? Elena was quiet. Then you decide if fighting is worth what it'll cost you. She hung up. Marcus stared at his phone. He thought about walking away. Not because he was wrong, but because being right could exhaust the soul. He thought about his mother. She'd worked 3 jobs to keep him in school. She'd told him education was armor, but armor only worked if someone let you wear it. A knock at the door startled him. Marcus opened it cautiously. Nadine stood there. She looked like she hadn't slept. She held a folder. Can I come in? She asked. Marcus stepped aside. Nadine entered. She set the folder on the small kitchen table. I found something, she said. Her voice was tired. It's not much, but it's there. Marcus felt his breath catch. What is it? Incident summaries. Going back 3 years, thin reports, sanitized language. But there's a pattern. She opened the folder. Small accidents, unexpected. Errors, equipment malfunctions, all clustered around Linda's evaluations. Marcus read the pages slowly. His hands shook. How many? He asked. 7 incidents, 4 trainees, 2 resigned, 1 transferred. 1 is still here, but silent. Marcus felt grief more than triumph. She's done this before. Yes. And no one stopped her. Nadine's jaw clenched. I should have. I saw pieces of it. I told myself it wasn't enough to act on. Why now? Because caution became complicity, and I can't live with that anymore. Marcus looked at her. Nadine's eyes were tired, but they were clear. If you file this formally, she said, the department will retaliate against both of us. I know. But if you don't, she'll do it to someone else. Marcus felt his throat tighten. What do you think I should do? I think you should file, and I think I should stand with you. Silence filled the small kitchen. Outside, a siren passed, life continuing, indifferent. Marcus picked up the folder. He felt the weight of it, not just paper, accountability. Okay, he said, we file. Nadine nodded. She looked afraid, but she also looked resolved. Tomorrow? She asked. Tomorrow. She left. Marcus sat alone with the folder. He opened his notebook. He added Nadine's name to his list of allies. Small, fragile, but real. He stared at the folder until the room went dark. Then he turned on the light and started writing his formal complaint. Marcus worked through the night. He organized documents chronologically. He cross-referenced Nadine's incident reports with his own timeline. Patterns emerged clearly. At 3 a.m., he finally stopped. His eyes burned. His hands ached. But the evidence was organized, coherent, undeniable to anyone willing to look. Nadine arrived at 8 the next morning. They reviewed everything together. The timestamps are crucial, she said. See here, altered logs, equipment checks recorded after incidents, not before. Marcus felt anger rise. She covered her tracks. Not well enough? They drove to the administrative building together. Nadine carried the folder. Marcus carried his formal complaint. The receptionist looked surprised. Mr. Reed, I thought you were suspended. I'm here to file a formal grievance, Marcus said. Against whom? Lead instructor Linda Kessler. The receptionist's expression went carefully blank. I'll need to get the director. They waited. Marcus felt his pulse hammer. Nadine's hand rested on the folder. Protective. Director Walsh emerged 20 minutes later. She was tall, professional, unreadable. Mr. Reed, Ms. Brooks, come in. They sat in her office. Marcus placed his complaint on her desk. Nadine added the folder. These are serious allegations, Walsh said after reading. Yes, ma'am, Marcus said. You understand filing this will trigger a full investigation? That all parties will be questioned? I understand. Walsh looked at Nadine. You're corroborating this? Nadine felt her throat tighten. This was the moment, the last chance to protect herself. Yes, she said. I found systematic documentation failures, altered records, safety protocols violated repeatedly. Walsh was quiet. Then she picked up her phone. Get me legal, and HR. Marcus and Nadine waited. The office felt cold. Walsh hung up. You'll both need to submit formal statements. This will take time. How much time? Marcus asked. Weeks, maybe longer. And in the meantime? You remain suspended. Ms. Brooks will likely be placed on administrative review. Nadine's breath caught, but she nodded. I understand. Walsh studied them. Why now? Why not earlier? Marcus met her eyes. Because staying silent protects the wrong people. Walsh almost smiled. Fair enough. They left an hour later, statements submitted. Outside, Nadine leaned against her car. I just ended my career, she said. Maybe, Marcus said. Or maybe you saved it. How do you figure? Because now you can look in the mirror. Nadine felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. That's the expensive mirror. Yeah, but worth it. She drove away. Marcus walked to his truck. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Mr. Reed, it's Tyler Kessler. Can we talk? Marcus felt his chest tighten. About what? About what I know. I need to tell you something. Where? The park near base, in an hour. Marcus agreed. He drove slowly, wondering what Tyler wanted, hoping it was truth, fearing it was a trap. Tyler waited on a bench near the empty playground. He looked nervous. Marcus approached carefully. Thanks for coming, Tyler said. Marcus sat, leaving space between them. What do you want? Tyler stared at his hands. Linda told me to keep quiet, about the helicopter evaluation. I know. She promised me a permanent position, guaranteed placement. Tyler's voice cracked. I said yes. Marcus felt anger surge. He breathed through it. Why are you telling me this? Because it's wrong. What she did to you is wrong. But you're still keeping quiet. Tyler looked up. That's why I'm here, to say I can't help you. Marcus felt disappointment settle heavy. Then why meet? Because I wanted you to know I see it. I know what's happening, but I can't risk my future. Your future is built on someone else's destruction. I know. Tyler's voice was miserable. But I've worked too hard. I can't throw it away. Marcus stood. Then we're done here. Wait. Tyler grabbed his arm. Can't you just drop it? Start over somewhere else? You're good. You'll find another program. Marcus pulled free. You think that's the answer? Just let her keep doing this? She's not going to stop. You can't win against her. Maybe not. But I won't be the one who helped her. Marcus walked away. Tyler called after him. You're going to ruin everything for yourself. Marcus kept walking. Behind him, Tyler sat alone, shame burning in his chest. Marcus drove home, angry. His phone rang. Claire. Marcus, I need to tell you something, she said quickly. What? I'm being pressured. Linda knows I filed a statement. She's saying it puts patient safety at risk, that I'm causing division. Marcus felt his stomach drop. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm scared. People aren't talking to me. My supervisor pulled me aside and said I should reconsider. Are you pulling your statement? Silence. Long and heavy. Claire? I don't know. I need to think. If you pull it now, I know what it means, Marcus. Her voice broke. But I have a kid in college. I have a mortgage. I can't lose everything. And I can? More silence. Then, quietly, I'm sorry. She hung up. Marcus sat in his truck, shaking. Tyler wouldn't help. Claire was wavering. The weight of isolation crushed down. He went inside. An email waited. Countercomplaint filed by lead instructor Linda Kessler. Marcus Reed is engaged in harassment of staff, created a hostile work environment, and made unfounded accusations that damage departmental reputation. Marcus read it 3 times. The accusation was absurd, but it would muddy everything. His phone rang again. Elena. Marcus, the department is framing you as unstable. They're leaking information to shape public opinion before the investigation concludes. Can they do that? They're doing it. I need more sources, more corroboration. Otherwise, this becomes he said, she said. I don't have more sources. Everyone's scared. Then I can't publish, not without risking your credibility and mine. Marcus felt everything slipping away. So that's it? Not yet. But you need to prepare for the possibility that documentation won't be enough. She hung up. Marcus sat in the dark. He thought about his father. How hard he'd worked, how little it mattered in the end. Integrity isn't enough. The thought was poison, but it felt true. He stared at his complaint. All those pages, all that careful documentation. Maybe Tyler was right. Maybe walking away was smarter. Marcus pulled out his uniform shirt from the drawer. He held it. Clean. Pressed. Earned. He thought about putting it back in the closet. Symbolic surrender. Instead, he folded it carefully. He placed it on the table. A promise to himself. Not surrender. Preparation. He'd face whatever came wearing his truth, even if he faced it alone. The formal hearing was scheduled for Monday morning. Marcus received the notice Friday evening. 3 days to prepare. He called Nadine. "Did you get the notice?" "Yes. Are you ready?" "I don't know." "Me neither." Her voice was tired. "But we're past ready. Were it necessary." Marcus hung up. He tried to sleep. He couldn't. Saturday morning he walked through the city. Strangers passed without seeing him. He felt invisible in a way that hurt. Claire sat in her car outside the hospital after her shift. Her hands gripped the steering wheel. She stared at her phone. Marcus's number was there. One call. She could tell him she'd stand firm. She could be the witness he needed. But then what? Unemployment? Colleagues turning away? Her daughter's tuition unpaid? Claire felt tears come. She hated herself. She hated the choice. She hated that doing the right thing had such a high cost. She drove home without calling. Elena sat in her office Saturday night, reviewing sources. She had Marcus's documentation, Nadine's reports, Claire's statement, though Claire might retract it. But she needed more. Independent verification. Someone without skin in the game. She made calls. Most went to voicemail. The ones who answered were cautious. "I can't comment. I wasn't there. I don't want involvement." Fear was contagious. Sunday morning, Marcus opened his email. A message from Walsh. "Additional documentation required before hearing. Please submit all evidence by 1700 today." Marcus looked at his files. He'd submitted everything. They wanted more because more didn't exist. He felt the trap closing. He called Nadine. "They're stalling. Or building a case to dismiss yours. What do I do?" "Show up Monday. Tell the truth. Hope it matters." Marcus felt despair settle. "And if it doesn't? Then we tried. That's more than most people do." The words were meant to comfort. They didn't. Sunday evening, Marcus sat on his couch. He stared at his uniform shirt. He thought about all the ways this could end. Exoneration seemed impossible. Vindication felt like fantasy. Most likely outcome: dismissed complaint, permanent separation, a reputation destroyed by whispers he couldn't fight. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Marcus Reed?" A man's voice, older, steady. "Yes." "My name is James Norton. I was a trainee 3 years ago, under Linda Kessler." Marcus felt his breath stop. "Why are you calling?" "Because I read about your complaint, and I should have filed mine." "What happened to you?" "Same pattern, impossible standards, public humiliation, then a dangerous evaluation she set up to fail." "Did you report it?" "I tried. I was told I was overreacting, so I quit." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Will you testify?" Silence, long and painful. "I have a family now, a good job. I don't want to go back." "I understand. But I'll give you a written statement, anonymously. Maybe it helps." "Thank you." "Marcus?" Norton's voice was rough. "Don't let her make you quit. That's how she wins." He hung up. Marcus sat in the dark. One more piece. Small, fragile, but real. He opened his laptop. He added Norton's information to his files. He organized everything one final time. Tomorrow would come. He'd face it with what he had. It would have to be enough, because nothing else was coming. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. Marcus dressed carefully. Suit, not uniform. Dignity in civilian clothes. Nadine met him outside the administration building. "Ready?" she asked. "No, but I'm here." They entered together. The hearing room was formal. Long table, recording equipment. 3 panel members, Walsh, HR Director Chen, and Legal Advisor Morrison. Linda sat across the room with her attorney. She wore a professional suit. Her expression was calm, almost serene. Tyler sat behind her. His presence was a statement. Claire arrived 5 minutes late. She slipped into the back row. Her face was pale. The panel called the hearing to order. Walsh spoke first. "This is a formal investigation into complaints filed by Marcus Reed against lead instructor Linda Kessler and counter-complaints filed by Ms. Kessler regarding Mr. Reed's conduct." Marcus felt his chest tighten. The room felt airless. Linda's attorney spoke. "Lead instructor Kessler maintains the highest standards of professionalism and safety. Mr. Reed's allegations are unfounded and motivated by his inability to meet those standards." "Mr. Reed," Walsh said, "present your case." Marcus stood. His legs felt unsteady. He presented his documentation. Timeline, witness statements, incident patterns. He spoke calmly. No anger, just facts. Linda watched him with a slight smile. As if his words were weather she could wait out. "Ms. Kessler," Walsh said, "your response?" Linda stood gracefully. "Standards exist for a reason. Mr. Reed has consistently demonstrated resistance to authority, unsafe practices, and an inability to accept feedback." "The helicopter evaluation?" "I changed the exit order for safety reasons. Last-minute assessment of wind conditions. I made the correct instructional choice." "Did you log the change?" "In the moment, no. Safety was my priority." "Mr. Reed alleges the change was deliberate harassment." Linda's smile tightened. "Mr. Reed perceives any correction as harassment. That's part of the problem." Marcus felt anger flash. He forced it down. Morrison asked questions. Procedural. Careful. Marcus answered each one. Chen asked about previous complaints. "Were you aware of other incidents involving Ms. Kessler?" Marcus glanced at Nadine. "Ms. Brooks discovered a pattern." "Ms. Brooks?" Chen turned. "Please explain." Nadine stood. Her voice shook at first, then steadied. "I found 7 incidents over 3 years. Documentation irregularities, altered timestamps, safety protocols violated." Linda's attorney objected. "These are historical incidents unrelated to Mr. Reed's complaint." "They establish pattern and practice," Nadine said. The panel conferred quietly. Walsh spoke. "We'll review the historical records. Mr. Reed, do you have additional witnesses?" Marcus looked at Claire. She sat frozen. "I have written statements," Marcus said, "from Claire Donovan and an anonymous former trainee." "We need live testimony," Morrison said. The room went silent. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Linda stood. "May I speak?" Walsh nodded. "I've dedicated 20 years to this program. I've trained hundreds of rescuers. I maintain order, discipline, and excellence." Her voice was passionate, convincing. "Mr. Reed wants to destroy that because he can't handle real standards." Marcus felt his breath catch. She was good. She made it sound true. The panel chair looked at Marcus. "Anything else?" Marcus opened his mouth. Then Claire stood. The room turned. Claire's face was white, but she was standing. "I have something to say," she said. Her voice shook, but it was clear. Claire walked to the front. Her hands trembled. Marcus felt his throat tighten. I'm Claire Donovan, flight medic. 10 years with this program. She took a breath. I witnessed the helicopter evaluation. Ms. Donovan, Walsh said, you filed a statement. Are you affirming it? Yes. Claire's voice was stronger now. I saw Linda Kessler change the exit sequence order without logging it. She crossed out the original assignment and placed Marcus Reed first. Linda's attorney stood. Ms. Donovan, is it possible you misinterpreted routine instructional adjustment? No. Claire met his eyes. I know the protocols. Changes require documentation. She didn't document it. Why didn't you speak up immediately? Claire felt shame burn. Because I was afraid. I didn't want trouble. I told myself it wasn't my responsibility. And now? Now I know silence is complicity. Her voice cracked. I watched Marcus nearly be destroyed by a system that protects power over people. I can't live with that. She sat down, shaking. Marcus felt his eyes sting. Walsh made notes. Thank you, Ms. Donovan. She turned to the panel. We have documentary evidence and live witness testimony. Mr. Kessler, you were also present. What did you observe? Tyler stood slowly. His face was pale. He glanced at Linda. Her eyes were sharp. Warning. Tyler's voice failed. He cleared his throat. I saw the evaluation. Did you observe any irregularities? Tyler felt his chest tighten. His whole future balanced on this moment. Linda had promised him everything. Security, position, success. But he thought about Marcus. He thought about the truth that everyone could see but no one would say. Yes, Tyler said quietly. Linda's expression froze. Speak up, please, Walsh said. Yes, Tyler said louder. Linda changed the order. She told me afterward to stay quiet about it. She said if I was loyal, she'd guarantee my placement. The room went silent. Morrison leaned forward. She explicitly asked you to conceal information? Yes, sir. Linda stood abruptly. That's a lie. Tyler, what are you doing? Tyler looked at her. I'm sorry, Aunt Linda, but it's true. Chen made rapid notes. Walsh called for a brief recess. During the break, Marcus stepped outside. Nadine followed. That was huge, she said. It's not over yet. No, but we're not alone anymore. Claire approached, still shaking. I'm sorry I waited so long. You spoke when it mattered, Marcus said. Thank you. Tyler stood apart, looking lost. Linda's attorney spoke to him urgently. Tyler shook his head. The hearing resumed. Walsh had new documents. We've pulled the archived incident reports Ms. Brooks referenced. The pattern is clear. 7 trainees, 4 complaints suppressed, 2 forced resignations. She looked at Linda. Ms. Kessler, the evidence suggests systematic abuse of authority. Do you have a response? Linda's composure finally cracked. I was maintaining order, standards, discipline. Someone has to enforce excellence. Excellence doesn't require cruelty, Walsh said. I never... Linda stopped. She saw it in their faces. They'd decided. Morrison spoke. Based on documented evidence, corroborated witness testimony, and historical pattern, we recommend immediate suspension of Linda Kessler pending full investigation. Administrative separation likely. Linda's face went white. You're destroying my career over lies. We're protecting future trainees from documented harm, Chen said. Walsh turned to Marcus. Mr. Reed, your suspension is lifted. Your complaint is substantiated. We'll be implementing new oversight procedures. Marcus felt something break open in his chest. Not triumph. Relief. Deep and overwhelming. Thank you, he managed. Linda stood stiffly. This isn't over. Yes, Walsh said quietly. It is. Security escorted Linda out. She didn't look back. The room emptied slowly. Marcus stood alone for a moment. Nadine touched his shoulder. "You did it." "We did it," Marcus said. Outside, Elena Park waited with a camera crew. "Mr. Reed, can I ask you some questions?" Marcus nodded. He was ready now. The truth was documented, witnessed, undeniable. Finally. Elena conducted the interview on the administration building steps. Marcus spoke carefully. Facts, not anger. "I stayed because others shouldn't have to face what I faced," he said. "That's all. What do you want people to understand?" That discrimination often looks professional. It hides behind policies, but documentation and courage can expose it. The interview aired that evening. Elena's article published simultaneously. Careful, corroborated, powerful. Local rescue program instructor suspended after investigation reveals pattern of abuse, read the headline. The story spread quickly. Social media amplified it. Other former trainees came forward with their own experiences. The department issued a statement. "We take these allegations seriously. Reforms are underway. Transparency and accountability are our priorities." Marcus read the statement and almost laughed. Now they cared, after everything. But caring late was better than never caring at all. Claire called him that night. "I'm glad you didn't quit." "I almost did." "But you didn't. That matters." "You speaking up mattered too." "I should have sooner." "You did it when you could. That's enough." Tyler sent a text. "I'm sorry I waited, and I'm sorry for benefiting from her favoritism. I didn't see it clearly until I had to choose." Marcus didn't respond immediately. Forgiveness would take time, but he appreciated the honesty. The department announced new procedures within a week: independent safety oversight, anonymous reporting systems, mandatory bias training, external review of all evaluations. Nadine was appointed interim lead of safety protocols. She accepted with cautious hope. Marcus was invited back to complete his certification. He accepted. But first he took a week off. He drove to the ocean. He sat on cold sand and watched waves break. He let himself feel everything he'd held back. Anger, exhaustion, relief, pride. He called his mother. "It's over," he said. "Did you win?" "I survived, and things changed." "That's winning, baby." He believed her. A month later, the county board held a public forum. Marcus attended. So did Claire, Nadine, and Elena. Linda's lawyer was there. "My client maintains her innocence. This process was flawed." But the evidence spoke louder than denial. The board voted to permanently separate Linda from the program, revoke her certifications, bar her from similar positions. Tyler testified about the culture of favoritism he'd participated in. His voice shook, but he told the truth. The board chair addressed the room. "This was a failure at multiple levels, individual and institutional. We commit to doing better." Marcus felt Tyler's words settle. Something shifted in his chest. Not forgiveness yet, but the possibility of it. After the forum, people approached Marcus. Some to apologize, some to thank him, some just to shake his hand. He accepted each interaction with grace. He didn't need their validation anymore, but he appreciated their recognition. Jonah found him outside. "I should have spoken sooner, too." "You spoke when asked. That helped." "Still, I'm sorry." Marcus nodded. "We all did what we could when we could." Elena published a follow-up story. How one man's documentation changed a culture. Marcus read it once, then filed it away. The story wasn't about him. It was about systems, and what happens when enough people refuse to look away. He returned to training the following Monday. New instructor, new protocols, new culture slowly forming. It wasn't perfect. Change never happened instantly. But it was better. Measurably, documentably better. And that was enough. 3 months later, Marcus completed his certification. Top of his class. The achievement felt earned now. Clean. He was offered a position. Permanent. Trainee instructor, helping develop the new oversight protocols. He accepted. His first day in the new role, he arrived before sunrise. The old habit. But now it felt like choice, not performance. Claire met him at the hangar. "Ready for this?" she asked. "Getting there." "You'll be great." She'd stayed, weathered the difficult conversations, rebuilt her reputation through consistent integrity. They weren't close friends, but they were allies. That mattered. Nadine posted new logging requirements on the bulletin board. Clear procedures, accountability measures, no more gaps for abuse to hide in. Culture shifts slowly, she told Marcus. But it shifts. Yeah. You did that. You know that, right? Marcus felt uncomfortable. A lot of people did that. You started it. That takes something special. Marcus didn't know how to respond. He changed the subject. They reviewed the day's training schedule together. The new class of trainees arrived at 8. 15 faces. Nervous, eager, hopeful. Marcus stood at the front of the briefing room. He felt Tyler's absence. Tyler had resigned. He was rebuilding his life elsewhere. Marcus hoped he found his way. "Good morning," Marcus said. "I'm Marcus Reed. I'll be your lead instructor for basic protocols." The trainees nodded. One raised a hand. "Sir, what's the most important thing we should know?" Marcus thought carefully. "That dignity isn't optional. It's the first standard. Sir, you'll be called to help people in crisis, but you have to remember they're people, not problems, not statistics, people." He paused. "And that includes each other." The trainee nodded slowly. Others leaned forward, listening. "We're going to learn technical skills," Marcus continued. "Rope work, medical response, coordination, but none of that matters if you forget why we do this work." "Why do we do it?" someone asked. "Because every person deserves safety, respect, a chance to be seen clearly." His voice was steady. "No matter who they are." The room was quiet. Marcus felt the weight of what he carried. Not bitterness, responsibility. "Let's start with names," he said. "Tell me who you are." They went around the room. Each person spoke. Marcus listened carefully. He remembered every name. When they finished, he smiled. "Welcome to the program. We're going to work hard. You'll struggle sometimes. That's normal." He paused. "But if you ever feel unsafe, or if you see something wrong, you speak up. To me, to Ms. Brooks, to anyone. That's not weakness. That's how we keep each other safe." A trainee asked, "What if we're wrong?" "Then we learn, but silence protects the wrong things." They began the day's training. Marcus moved among them, correcting form, answering questions, building trust through consistency. At lunch, he sat with the group. No separation, no distance, just presence. One trainee asked about the recent news. "Were you really suspended?" Marcus nodded. "Yes." "What did you do?" "I documented what I saw. I asked others to help. Eventually, enough people told the truth that it couldn't be ignored." "Was it worth it?" Marcus looked at the trainee. Young, uncertain, hoping for simple answers. "Yes," Marcus said, "because now you're here, and things are different." The afternoon passed. Training, drills, small corrections, building skills, building culture. At the end of the day, Marcus watched the trainees leave. Tired, challenged, but not broken. He thought about Linda. He didn't hate her. He felt something closer to sadness. She'd had power and used it to diminish. That was its own kind of loss. He walked to the helicopter pad. The evening light was golden. A helicopter sat quiet, powerful, waiting. He thought about the evaluation that changed everything. The door opening, the decision to jump. He'd been afraid, but fear hadn't stopped him. A voice called his name. Nadine approached. "How was the first day?" "Good. They're a strong group." "You set a good tone." Marcus smiled slightly. "We'll see." They stood together, watching the sun sink lower. The sky turned orange, then purple. "You changed things, Marcus," Nadine said quietly. "We changed things." "No. You had the courage when it mattered most." Marcus felt his throat tighten. He thought about all the people who'd helped. Claire. Nadine. Tyler, eventually. Even Jonah's small witness. Truth required many voices, but someone had to speak first. "Thank you," he said finally. They walked back toward the buildings. Behind them, the helicopter lifted into the sky. Training flight. Routine. Safe. Marcus watched it rise. He felt quiet satisfaction. Not victory. Something better. Peace. Earned through standing firm, through refusing to let cruelty become normal. He thought about the next Marcus, the next person who'd face something wrong. They'd have better protections now, better systems, more people willing to listen. That was the point. Not personal vindication. Collective safety. Marcus turned away from the helicopter. He walked toward his truck. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight he rested. He'd done what was necessary. He'd made dignity matter. He'd protected something worth protecting. Himself, and everyone who'd come after. That was enough.